Welcome back to the Saints and Alumni Show right here on 88.3 The Saint. I'm your host this week, Joe Fermusa from the class of 2012. And this week, I'm very, very happy to have two members of the Epilepsy Foundation of Northeastern New York, Dan Biddiscombe, who's Special Events Manager, and the Director of Donor Engagement, Sue Kaczynski. They're both going to be talking about the annual Confections and Chocolate Gala for Hope, which is coming up at the end of this month on March 29th. Before we get to them, just want to remind you there are multiple ways to listen to the show. Obviously, you're listening right now on 88.3. You can also listen on iHeartRadio. And then when the show is over, around 5 o'clock, 5:15, it becomes a podcast, and it lives there forever. So you can listen to the full selection of shows via Apple, Spotify, however you listen to podcasts. You can listen to the Saints and Alumni Show, and we ask you to also subscribe. So you can get those notifications when those new episodes come through, whether Brandon's hosting, whether I'm hosting. Brandon hosts a lot more than I do, of course, but you can listen to those shows as well. Sue, Dan, thank you both so very much for coming on this show. This is an institution, this show here on the station. We're honored to have you both to talk about a really, really important event happening in just a couple weeks here.
Thank you for inviting us to come on to talk about the event and the services we provide.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming. So I want to start with each of you individually. And I know before we came on, Dan, you had mentioned that you are a bit new to the Epilepsy Foundation. So let's start with you. What brought you to the Epilepsy Foundation? Maybe a little bit about your background and maybe a little bit about, the mission you're trying to fulfill with the foundation.
Sure. So my career has been involved in hospitality for the last 20-plus years. Locally in the area, from Glens Falls to Lake George down to Saratoga area. My now 23-year-old daughter had her first seizure at age 5. So epilepsy has been a part of my life, and she still lives with active seizures. So my involvement with this organization has been utilizing some of the services throughout her life. So this was a wonderful opportunity for me to not only support the services and programs that we provide, but to also be surrounded by the people who really get it and some of the people that I've worked with in the past. So this is an opportunity for me to have a job that really hits close to home for me.
And that's great. And I think that, it shows you have that personal connection as well, which is obviously important for a foundation like this, important for an event like this that we're going to talk about. Sue, I was looking a little bit at the conversation you were having with our general manager, Darren Scott. It seems you two have known each other for a long time. It seems you have a good history with the foundation as well. Can you take us back a little bit to what brought you to the Epilepsy Foundation and what you're looking to, at least the mission you try to promote as Director of Donor Engagement?
Sure. Yes, I've been with the agency for 20 years now. I've always been in the nonprofit world, worked at other nonprofit agencies prior to this. I enjoy helping people find the services they may need to help them live a more productive life. And since we offer our services at no charge, we do the fundraising. And so I enjoy creating the events and fundraising and finding other sources of revenue to help the agency thrive so we can provide those programs and services.
The next thing I want to talk about kind of ping-pongs or piggybacks off of what you both kind of just said. Epilepsy Foundation is a very strong presence in this community. What is the importance to you? What is the importance of EFNENY in our area when it comes to you both?
It's so people understand that they are not alone when they are diagnosed with epilepsy. It's to let them know that there are others on the same journey, and we can connect you with those individuals through support groups or our events. We do a walk and a golf tournament and the gala, through conferences that we have to educate people about different medications or other services that may be available to you. And educating them about different types of seizures and providing first aid if someone is having a seizure. So it's really here to help people with the challenges they may face and connect them with others.
And to kind of tease a little bit ahead to what we're going to talk about, of course, the main event happening on March 29th. It's the 37th annual Confections and Chocolate Gala for Hope. It's happening at Birch Hill on Castleton-on-Hudson, starting at 5:30. To register, just go to efneny.org. I'm going to be saying that website a bunch more times. I'm sure you both will be as well. But one thing I want to learn, we're talking 37th annual, and this is WVCR has been a sponsor and a partner with this gala for a number of years now as well. And this is something that our campus hears about a lot. You hear about a lot on the news and in the community. But I want to take the clocks back a little bit. How did this gala start? Maybe we could get into why chocolate, and how did it really become that really strong pillar of the community?
Yes, well, the gala started as a means to raise money for the agency. And St. Valentine is the patron saint of epilepsy. Not many people know that. So the first fundraiser was held on Valentine's Day, and since chocolate is synonymous with Valentine's Day, that kind of started the theme there. And so Valentine's Day, though, is on the 14th, and it could be any day of the week. So then they decided, as that event grew, to turn it into a gala and have it on a weeknight. So now it has grown into this gala where up to 300 people have attended.
That's awesome. And again, it's that pillar of the community that I've been hearing about for years. Even when I was a student here, I heard a lot about it, and then coming back. Obviously, you have a really great master of ceremonies, and Chris Honorato from News Channel 13, who's your master of ceremonies that night, a great pillar of the community as well to help bring the festivities together. One thing I want to jump to now is when people come to this event, and we'll talk about how they can register, how they can potentially give and support the event. When someone comes to the gala, what can they expect?
Well, we start with a cocktail hour with an open bar, and you'll be entertained by some of the musicians from Soul Session. That's our band for the evening. And then after the cocktail hour, we have the program where we will be presenting a Flame of Hope Award to the University at Albany for their support over the years, and introducing our two winning kids, who are there to show other kids that they're not alone living with epilepsy. And then we have a beautiful meal prepared by the venue. And then we have dancing by Soul Session to their music. Then there's also a silent and live auction that Chris will play a big role in, along with our auctioneer. And then just the luscious, decadent array of chocolate desserts will be presented, and we have the chocolate desserts donated by local pastry chefs and restaurants, and that's the highlight of the evening. It's set up on a beautiful display. You can try as many different desserts as you'd like, and then the evening you just get to dance the rest of the night.
Obviously, the highlight of the night, chocolate, but I'm very familiar with Soul Session. They are awesome entertainers. So that, might be worth the price of the ticket in itself, in my opinion. You mentioned those two winning kids who I was reading a little bit about before we came on. Adeline and Ada, can you give me a little bit more information about their stories and why they are this year's winning kids?
Sure. Each year we send out a request for doctors or nurses or parents of children living with epilepsy to see if they'd like to be a winning kid. And they help raise awareness throughout the year by attending our walk and the gala where they're introduced. We highlight them on billboards throughout the Capital District and beyond. And it's a way to not only raise awareness about epilepsy, but, again, to let children know you're not alone on this journey. So Adeline Casey, she's 5 years old, and she's from Rensselaer County. And at a very young age of 5 months old, she began having infantile spasms, which can be common in babies, where they have jerking of their arms and legs. But then she developed tonic seizures, and that's like a drop attack where she can drop. A person with atonic seizures can just drop to the floor. Can be dangerous because you can harm yourself. Some people wear helmets so they don't have a brain injury. And then Adeline was eventually diagnosed with focal epilepsy, which affects only one side of the brain. So that's kind of telling you that there are different types of seizures. People are mostly familiar with the tonic-clonic seizure, where it's when you do fall to the ground and your arms and legs are jerking, and but there are many different types of seizures, and each seizure is handled differently. Our second winning kid, Ada, she's 4 years old, and she's from Saratoga County, and she developed epilepsy around her first birthday when she was 1 year old, and she has complex partial seizures, and that affects a greater part of your brain, and it seems to be like you are in a state, like in an unconscious state, maybe daydreaming, and they seem aware, but they're not. And Ada actually had brain surgery 2 years after her diagnosis, and she's currently seizure-free. They're slowly weaning her off her meds. And so again, that shows a different type of seizure, a different method of treating the seizure. There's different ways to treat seizures. But both girls, despite their diagnosis, they're active, children playing with other kids, and they're excited to be our winning kids and be introduced at the gala.
And I think that's great. Their two beautiful smiling faces are on the website. You know that they're being honored at this event, and to put faces with epilepsy and to tell those stories, I think strengthens the gala and obviously the foundation in itself. And I think that's wonderful, and I think it's great for our listeners to learn more about them. As you just did. We have to hit a break, but when we come back, both of you sit tight. We're going to talk more about how people can support the gala, how people can support the foundation. There are various different ways we're going to go through. I'm looking at the website here, and there are so many different ways that people can support. So stay with us. We'll be right back right here on 88.3 The Saint. Welcome back to the Saints and Alumni Show right here on 88.3 The Saint. I'm your host this week, Joe Formusa from the class of 2012, speaking with Sue Kaczynski, Director of Donor Engagement, and Dan Biddiscombe, the Special Events Manager, both at the Epilepsy Foundation of Northeastern New York. We're talking about the 37th Annual Confections and Chocolate Gala for Hope happening March 29th in just a couple weeks in Castleton-on-Hudson. Earlier in the first segment, we learned about the history of the gala, the importance of the foundation in the area. We learned some incredible stories about the two winning kids that are going to be honored and recognized at this gala. We learned about what you can expect when you can attend. Some great entertainment by Soul Session, some great chocolates. We learned a little history about why chocolates. But now we really want to get to the meat and potatoes, the nitty-gritty. This is a pillar of our community, as I've said many times already. And supporting the foundation, supporting the gala is what we're talking about, and we want to know why it's so important. So my first question for this right now is, why is it so important to support the foundation as a whole, and maybe why this gala? I mean, 37 years, that's nothing to sneeze at. So why is this so important?
Yeah, the programs and services we offer to people affected by epilepsy include counseling, support groups, seizure education and first aid training, advocacy, service coordination. We go into the schools and into businesses to educate people about epilepsy and what to do in case of a seizure. And all of these services are free of charge. So we do fundraising so we can offer those programs and services. And the gala is one way that we fundraise. So all the money raised at this event will help support those programs and services.
And I think that is something important for our listeners, important for our community is, obviously a foundation like the Epilepsy Foundation, obviously, very strong in our community, but what you're doing and what this does to help strengthen that mission and advance that mission, I think is important as well. In the break, we talked about all those different ways you can support. You can donate from afar. You can attend. You can be a sponsor. Let's dive into some of that. Again, I'm on the website here, and I'm seeing so many different ways that people can people can give and be a part of it. So let's jump right into that. Let's talk about those different ways.
Sure. We have, you mentioned volunteering or sponsors. We're always looking for both. And you can reach out to us through the website or calling our office. But we also have our special Raffle for Hope that we do every year, where we sell 100 tickets for $100 each, and the first prize winner receives $4,000, and we have two second prize winners who receive $500 each. And those tickets are drawn at the gala. So that's one way you can support us. If you cannot attend the gala, you can purchase a Raffle for Hope ticket. You can also do a general donation on our gala site, which you can find on our website. And also a big part of the gala is our online auction. We'll have over 100 auction packages on our bidding site, which again you can find on our website at efneny.org. And that is open. It opened on March 14th. So you can check out the bidding site and start bidding. Those items will close the evening of the gala. So people at the gala will have an opportunity to bid while they're attending the gala. And those at home who cannot attend can bid from the comfort of their sofa.
Awesome. And again, that website, and I'll say it again in a little bit as well, efneny.org, to learn more information about the gala, to learn more about the foundation. Before we wrap up today, I have two last questions, basically for both of you, and they kind of are more personal level. You may be, rehashing some things you already said, but I really want to hit home to our listeners why this is important, why the gala is important, why the foundation is important. First one being, why, if someone is listening to our show and they may not be that familiar with what the foundation does, with the gala, a lot of our listeners are alumni, so they're tuning in to listen to either alumni stories or really community-based stories. What is that last pitch you may have for them if they are not so much on the fence, but why would it be important if they're looking to support and they need that last push? What would you have to say to them?
Yeah, epilepsy affects 1 in 26 individuals. So it's most likely you know someone who has epilepsy. Not everyone is comfortable talking about it. Through us raising awareness, we're trying to erase the stigma so people are comfortable talking about it. So it's likely you know someone who is affected by epilepsy. So we're here to make those connections, to advocate, and to provide those services that are desperately needed. They can go to our website to learn more about the services we offer. You can just give us a call, and our intake coordinator would be happy to discuss the services that we have that you may benefit from. So I'd say, just to help those 1 in 26 people affected by epilepsy.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to understand that number really, it rings true, and Susan couldn't be more correct, that everybody probably knows somebody that's connected in some way to somebody, whether it's a friend, family, or colleague, that either has a family member that has seizures or it's a part of their family and people don't know it. A lot of times, there's a little bit, especially when kids are in their teenage years, there's a little bit of shame involved, and they don't want anyone, because at that age, of course, you want to be like everybody else. So you don't want to wear the bracelets, and you don't want people to know that you could possibly have a seizure because, you might not be able to have your friends hang out with you or have the sleepovers or do the things that people take for granted and don't think about. So I think it's important that people understand that they're not alone and the parents aren't alone. And like Susan said, the services that we provide, I remember going on the website years ago, and I was amazed by the amount of services and programs that this organization provides, from finding physicians to finding support groups and just talking to other people that go through this on a daily basis, not just the people with the seizure disorder, but the people that support them and parents. So it touches everybody, and I think it's really important to have these types of fundraisers to raise money to support those programs for everybody.
And again, that number and that website that we were just talking about, 518-456-7501, that is the correct number, correct?
It is.
Excellent. Just making sure. I should have checked that earlier, but I'm looking at it right here. And again, that website, efneny.org. We're going to mention it again right after this last question here. Again, kind of on the more personal reasons for both why you are involved and this gala as a whole. Dan, I know you said you were a bit new to the foundation, but you might still have an answer to this as well. But Susan, we could start with you. What is your favorite part of the gala? I mean, we talked about music, we talked about storytelling, we talked about the chocolate, obviously. But for someone who's been involved with the foundation for so many years now, what is your favorite part?
Just seeing the connections when people get together who are both affected by epilepsy, and they get to meet others. I really like that feeling that they get that, gee, there's someone else like me, and they can share their experiences with themselves or their child. So I really enjoy that at all our events, not only the gala.
And for me, it's really something that we haven't touched on yet that I think is going to be a really important part of that evening, and that's Chris Honorado's hair. I mean, have you seen the hair on this guy?
Oh, yes.
I mean, he is the man. I mean, I remember the first time I met him, he like walked in, I'm like, dude, your hair is just on point all the time. Anyway, so in all seriousness, I'm looking forward to seeing how this whole event unfolds. I love Chris. I love Garland from Soul Session. He's a friend of mine. And to be surrounded by the people that kind of get it, if you will, and from my perspective in my world, it's just, I mean, I feel it every day now, which is just so gratifying and humbling, but to be surrounded in that beautiful setting with all those beautiful people, with all that beautiful chocolate, with people who understand and get it and have passion for helping epilepsy and people with epilepsy is going to be really, really nice.
And for our community members and our alumni listening, that is the reason why this is so important to our community, to the Epilepsy Foundation, to Susan and to Dan as well. I want to thank you both so much for coming on. Again, this is such an important initiative, an important event in our community. So I want to thank you both for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
And once again, that phone number is 518-456-7501 for more information about the foundation, about the gala. You can also go to efneny.org for all the information. Again, the Confections and Chocolate Gala for Hope, 37th annual, happening March 29th, Castleton-on-Hudson. That is it for this episode of the Saints Alumni Show. We'll see you next time right here on 88.3 The Saint.